Jessica jolted awake, heart pounding against her ribcage like a drum. The glowing numbers on her digital clock read 3:33 a.m., casting an eerie green light over her room. She felt a chill prickling her skin, her eyes snapping to the window. Her breath caught in her throat. Outside, partially obscured by the night, stood a shadowed figure. It was motionless, its dark silhouette a stark contrast against the dim glow of the moonlight. Jessica's pulse quickened. She tried to move, to scream, but her body refused to obey. She was frozen in place, paralyzed by an overwhelming sense of dread. Time seemed to stretch on, the minutes dragging by with agonizing slowness. She watched, unblinking, as the figure remained perfectly still, its gaze fixed on her. The air in the room grew thick, suffocating, as a cold sweat trickled down her forehead. A sudden movement outside broke the silence. The figure began to approach the window, its steps slow and deliberate. Jessica's heart hammered in her chest, her mind screaming for her to run, to hide. But she remained pinned to the bed, a prisoner to her own terror. The figure reached the window, pressing its face against the glass. Its features were obscured by shadow, but she could feel its eyes boring into her. It lingered there for a moment. Then it began to move again. A faint creaking sound echoed through the house as it found its way inside. The soft padding of footsteps on the wooden floor grew louder, closer. Jessica's breathing became shallow, her eyes wide with fear. She could hear the figure moving through the house, its presence growing stronger with each passing second. Closer, closer. The footsteps stopped just outside her bedroom door. She watched as the door creaked open, revealing the darkened hallway beyond. The figure stood there, its form now more distinct, a tall, gaunt shape with eyes that seemed to glow faintly in the darkness. It stepped into the room, its movements slow and deliberate, like a predator savoring its prey. Jessica's heart felt like it would burst from her chest. The figure advanced, inch by inch, until it stood at the foot of her bed. It reached out a hand, fingers long and bony, and she woke up with a start, gasping for breath. The room was silent, her heart still racing. Jessica glanced at the clock, its green digits glaring back at her. 3:33 a.m. A wave of relief washed over her. It had just been a nightmare, but then she heard it. A soft creak from her window. Her blood ran cold. Slowly, she turned her head to chance a look. Her eyes widened in horror. Outside, partially obscured by the night, stood the shadowed figure, watching her,